Farm to Flavor is creating authentic flavors derived from and inspired by nature. It's cultivating sustainable partnerships, celebrating botanical origin, and growing local community. It's how we bring real farm flavor to your food and beverage products. Join Blue Pacific as we travel from farm to flavor, exploring the sensory, science, and stories behind some of our favorite flavors.
In today's Farm to Flavor episode, we're going to taste through apple. Apple is perhaps the most familiar flavor for people in North America.
My dad used to always say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And one of the things that I've kind of evolved in terms of my apple taste is profile in terms of acidity and sweetness. As a kid, my father was a real lover of apples, and he would always like to go to the supermarket himself, and he would pick out Macintosh, which was his favorite varietal. And actually, it was a unique varietal for us as well as growing up because it had a real tart flavor to it. And it was something that I really loved. I always went for the Macintosh, and that was very much a part of the New York State apple season, and something that I always enjoyed. When I moved to California, I obviously started seeing a lot of some of these new varietals come out, and those have been really enjoyable. Of course, many of us started experimenting with apple flavors in the, say, Fuji apples, which are obviously a very famous Japanese varietal. And then most recently, I think people have been moving more towards a little bit more aromatic, crisper texture apples, something like Honeycrisp, Jazz apples, and some of these new varietals.
One of the varieties that is new to me, and I think is probably new to you, is this one I've got in front of me, and this is the Kanzi apple. It's relatively new to the North American market, and so I thought we'd taste through it together and talk a little bit about apple sensory. Now, when I'm tasting fruit in the lab, when I'm talking about how we go from farm to flavor in our flavor profiles, what I really like to do is examine all parts of the fruit and do it individually and then also holistically. So the first thing I always do with an apple is I smell it. I look for that really nice floral, ethereal sort of aroma that comes off of a freshly cut apple. And this one definitely has it. I get a bit of a honeyed note. A little bit of a green note, but not a sharp green like a Granny Smith apple. Just a little bit underneath the honey. So I'm going to taste the flesh. Wow. Really cool. Now, this particular apple has a really delicious juiciness to it. And the acid is high, but it's also balanced with really high sugar. So you're getting the sweetness that's really delicious, but then it's cleaning out because you've got a high acid. And the texture of the apple is also really interesting because it has a nice juicy and crispness. So there's this nice interplay of, a crunch when you bite into it, but then all the juice that sweeps over your palate and really helps deliver the flavor to you. Now, the other thing that you want to try is the skin, because the skin is going to have components that are different than the actual flesh of the apple, and this will help inform you how that whole apple flavor really comes across when you're trying to put it into something like, say, a beverage or, like an energy bar. Getting some more mellow notes here. When you don't have the acidity, because obviously the flesh doesn't carry a lot of acids, you really start to see some of those deeper notes that apples have, like the rose, the beta-damascenone notes, and some of the more stemmy or woody sort of notes. And those really play a nice complement and contrast to the lighter flavors that are in the flesh.
Many people don't realize this, but it's not just malic acid that drives apple's flavor profile. What we found is that there's a lot of interesting compounds in apples, and these acids can really drive the unique characteristics of the fruit. And in many ways, some of the antioxidant benefits of fruit are tied to some of these unique acids, particularly in terms of how our body metabolizes these antioxidants. So maybe there was something to be said about an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Perhaps it's something to do with some of the unique compounds and acids that are found in apples.
My verdict on the Kanzi is delicious. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining us on our Farm to Flavor journey to try apples today. And I hope you'll follow follow us in the future to see all the different fruit that we explore and to learn how we go from farm to flavor in our different products here at Blue Pacific. Thanks a lot, and see you on the farm.
Farm to Flavor isn't just our philosophy, it's our product line as well. At Blue Pacific, we offer thousands of fruit and sweet flavors, and varietally distinct apple flavors as well, such as Jazz, Granny Smith, Honeycrisp, Fuji, Pink Lady, and many more. If you're looking for varietal flavor to set your product apart, look no further than Blue Pacific Flavors. Contact us today for a complimentary sample and to learn more about our product innovation services.